It's the start of a war across Europe. Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, the leader of the Nazi Party, has just invaded Poland and is looking for onward expansion. Rumors spread of an ultimate weapon able to demolish an entire city in one detonation. U.S. intel believes Germany has already started on its construction.
I think my father felt that it was inevitable, and not the decision to drop, but the building of it was inevitable. Somebody was going to get this power, and it's better that the U.S. have it than somebody else.
On December 28, 1942, President Roosevelt authorized the formation of a program that combined all U.S. research efforts to weaponizing nuclear energy. This is the Manhattan Project. Meet Jeff Glauber, the son of the Nobel Prize winner and esteemed physicist who worked on the atomic bomb, Roy Glauber.
He's very smart. You could talk to him about anything, and he'd have a very, very knowledgeable answer for any question you could ever ask. Somewhat private. He wasn't somebody who was, patting himself on the back or that sort of thing. Very humble.
In late 1943, a mysterious caller knocked on Roy Glauber's dormitory door, speaking of a secret project in an undisclosed location. He requested to interview Glauber.
I had an interview in Cambridge, somebody from the Army, but maybe with a scientific background, came to Cambridge and interviewed him, and he was selected to go to work on a project that he knew nothing about.
At the young age of 18, Glauber boarded a bus to a remote town in New Mexico, comprised entirely of scientists looking to use the marvel of nuclear energy as a weapon.
He was there for about 3 years. But what he was doing is he was calculating the critical mass of the explosion.
The project, headed by General Leslie Groves, was on the edge of innovation at the time. It was a hotspot of intelligence, with the greatest minds of the nation all gathered into one spot, the likes of never seen before. Among them were some famous names like Leo Szilard, Hans Bethe, Niels Bohr, and J. Robert Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer, a charismatic and intelligent man, was the scientific leader of the project.
He talked about Oppenheimer as, being very smart, but also being very politically savvy, and therefore the right man for the role, because he could engage the military side and he could engage the scientific side. He wasn't the smartest scientist. My father would be the first one to say that. Well, it wasn't a dumb guy, a very smart guy. He was politically astute, let's put it that way.
It was because of this political savviness that Oppenheimer was often accused of being a communist. In his hearings, he was grilled time and time again. Despite these accusations, the project trudged forth, and on July 16, 1945, the first nuclear bomb was detonated. Roy Glauber waited patiently on Sandia Peak for the bomb to explode.
And they were up there. You have no radio communications. You obviously have no internet, nothing. They're just up there. There wasn't internet, and nothing happened. So, they're figuring it was a dud. They were talking about going home because there must have been a problem. So, but he was there watching when that explosion took place.
People who witnessed the explosion said that it felt like the heat of a hot desert, and the brightness was that of 1,000 suns. A coded message quickly sent to Truman in Potsdam read, "Operated on this morning. Diagnosis not yet complete, but results seem satisfactory and already exceed expectations." Truman was a changed man, the diary of the Secretary of War Henry Stimson read. He told the Russians just where they got on and off. But it still all came back to Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor.
A short time ago, an American airplane dropped one bomb on Hiroshima and destroyed its usefulness to the enemy. That bomb has more power than 20,000 tons of TNT. The Japanese began the war from the air at Pearl Harbor. They have been repaid many-fold, and the end is not yet.
70,000 people were killed immediately after the blast. It is estimated 140,000 people were dead by the year's end. Even today, cancer and other radiation symptoms have increased dramatically. A mere 3 days after the bombing of Hiroshima, another bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. With the force of 21,000 tons of TNT, 40,000 people were instantly killed, another 30,000 from burns and radiation, and over the next 5 years, well over 100,000 deaths were directly attributed to the bombing.
Yes, so it was a perceived race with the Nazis. In the end, the Nazis may not have been as far along as they had feared, but the Nazis were stopped while they were there, and the U.S. government decided to test the capability and the power on Japan. It was they wanted to obviously stop the war. It was post Pearl Harbor and that sort of thing. Okay,
right.
But they also wanted to understand what they had invented.
The atomic bomb has never been used against an enemy in wartime since then.
I think the scientists felt the first bomb was fair and important to drop. Second one, you can raise real questions about, because Japan was shell-shocked, couldn't respond, and the next one was dropped, 10 days later? I don't know. It has obviously changed the world beneficially and, concerningly.
Right.
The premise of what they developed is what nuclear power is today, and that's what's putting electricity into your home. So, nobody could have known or imagined what the next steps would have been, but it could have unleashed a tit for tat, because now many countries have nuclear power and that sort of thing, but it hasn't. So in the scheme of things, honestly, I think it was a good thing.
The bomb has changed the world in ways never thought possible and has affected the way we fight wars. Albert Einstein once wrote, "I know not what World War III will be fought with, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones."